What's this week's Parsha? Oh, and what should we name it? Ta-da! Where'd the lights go? We just light a second ago. We'll get to that in a second, why I'm doing this in the dark this time. You'll see. The light. This is Parshas Vayechi. Vayechi Yaakov. Yaakov, these are the lives of Yaakov. But it's funny, because didn't Yaakov die in this week's Parsha? That's what it talks about. This is the last years of his life. He moved to Mitzrayim, where Yosef was second command, and all his children were there, and he moved there. And seemingly this is the end of his life. This is the end of life. So why call it Vayechi? And this is the light. This is the life. This is not the life, this is the death. So there's a few interesting points. First of all, something that we'll use later is this Parsha is a Stuma Parsha, meaning usually there's a break in between Parshas and the Torah. This one is connected. We'll get there in a second. Rashi explains that, and that will lead into our second point. But for the first point of our talk, so these are the lives of Yaakov. Now, the idea is that why are we calling, now when he passes away, why are we calling it this life? So to know if someone is truly a good person, they can only know at the end of their lives, right? Because throughout the entire life, who knows at what point, maybe the person will mess up. So you only really know that the person has a true good life when, after they pass away, after their whole life is in front of them, and they see the actions, what they have done. Now, what is true? What is a true existence, right? Because we're trying to live a true life. So what is the true existence? The true existence is God. He's the only entity that existed from the beginning, from before the beginning, and till the end, and there's nothing in between. And we understand that word emes is something, why we say that the true emes, the true truth, the real entity, the everlasting entity is only God. Because emes, the meaning of truth, is something that lasts forever. If you have a river, it talks in the Torah, that in regards to the sprinkling the water that's used for the red heifer, for the paraduma, it has to be living water, true water, emestical water. And that, when the meaning, the definition that's defined is, it has to be a stream that does not dry up in 7 years. So even if you have a stream that's going for 6 years straight, you'll say, yeah, the stream, someone asks, where's the closest stream? Yeah, the stream down the block. That's the one. But it's not a real stream until the last 7 years. Even if it stops one day, boom, it's not considered an MS stream, because MS means true from beginning to end and everlasting throughout the entire thing. So only God is a really true existence. And we know that Yaakov, how do we know that Yaakov lived a good life? How do we know he lived a full life, a true life? Is that at his passing, he was connected to the truest entity, which is God, from the beginning to end. And we only know at the end of his life. And this week's Parsha that we see that he lived even in Mitzrayim, which was the lowest of low in those times, and he still was connected to God throughout the entire time from beginning to end. Now, we also see something interesting about Yaakov. It says, Yaakov lo meis. Yaakov didn't pass away. What does this mean? Now you say, just as his children were alive, so too he was alive. So what's the meaning behind that? What does that mean? So that's the darkness. The darkness is the Gullus. Because right now, Yosef is in charge, Yaakov was passing away, and in the beginning of the Parsha, Rashi asks, why is the Parsha stuma? Why is it a closed Parsha? So there's two meanings. One, because the Jews' eyes from then on were closed and the hearts were hardened because of the exile that was coming. And another reason is because Yaakov wanted to tell his children when the end of their final redemption would be, but he wasn't able to, his stuma was closed from him. Now, these two things really tie into each other. How do we know that Yaakov really lived through his children? Because we know Yaakov, he was truly connected to God his whole life. So how do we know his children followed through? So that's the two different explanations of Rashi tie into each other. The first one saying that their hearts and their eyes were closed because now Yaakov is passing away. So it was hard for them because their father, their leader, for all this time, the leader of the Shvatim, our forefather, right, Bnei Yisrael, we are the children of Israel. Bnei Yisrael, that person was dying. So it was hard for them. And they knew that there was no end, because that's the second parish. That when in regards to the Kates, the end of the exile, it was close from them. So even though it was hard for them because Yaakov was dying, and they didn't even know when it was going to end, it was going to be everlasting, they still followed through in being Yaakov's children. They still were connected to God. And that's what it says, that Apizari v'chaim, just like he was alive, so to his children, because we see his children follow through the same idea. And today, we have the same idea. We don't know when Mashiach is going to come. We hope that the exile will be done, redemption, will have godliness, no more pain, no more craziness. It'll all be, everything will be healthy and happy, and we won't have to worry about livelihoods, etc. We don't know when that's going to be. But we still, in the face of even living in a place like Mitzrayim in those days, was the worst of the worst. It was the worst society. They were doing terrible things and a lot of bad stuff, idol worship in those days. And they were serving a whole bunch of random stuff. Who knows what they were serving? They didn't see Hashem. They didn't see any godliness. There was no godliness. It was just emptiness. And even still, they kept their Judaism strong. And that's the lesson for us, that today too, there's a lot of things that, that distract us from seeing godliness, and maybe we don't want to be good Jews, or we don't want to, do Torah mitzvahs, and we don't want to do any of that. We have to realize, no, we are the children of Yaakov, and we are so powerful, and it doesn't matter who we are. We have we have to realize that we have the power, even in the face of darkness, of exile, of hardships, that we can endure with the power of Yaakov, that we are the sons of Yaakov, someone who is consistently connected to God. No matter what level you're at, it does not matter. You have to keep on going better and doing better and trying to do more and better and reach higher levels. However fast or slow you can do it, but as long as we keep on trying to better ourselves in whatever way it is, especially in the way of Torah mitzvahs and learning Torah and doing the mitzvahs, that is the best thing. And through continuing to push forward, we will eventually reach the final redemption. May it be speedily and in our days. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you understood that. It was a bit long, but it's all good. All right. See you later.